Infected, my all-time favorite mod. I've basically played this mod since it came out in Modern Warfare 3, so it's been what, 14 years now that I've been playing this mod, and I've been loving it since then. Don't get me wrong, baby CQ was like completely dog shit at the game. But I think around the Modern Warfare 2019 times, I became better when I switched to PC, and the past few years I've been way more invested into the mod and voicing my thoughts and opinion way more and more. Don't get me wrong, my frontal lobe developed only a few years ago, and I might have like some dog shit takes sometimes, but my constant yapping into the void technically on Twitter and some of the videos I made in the past allowed me to be heard not once but twice. It's not something I talk about that much, at least in my videos or something, but I was actually very lucky to be able to help, in a way, Modern Warfare 3 Infected and BO7 Infected. I don't know to what extent I was able to like help or change the Infected game mode, but I've been in contact with one person from Sledgehammer Games and one person from Treyarch that allowed me to get my voice heard about my complaints or like my opinions or my thoughts about Infected, resulting in changes for the mod in both of the games. Again, technically I have no idea what changed because I don't think they're allowed to disclose any information, which is very fair, but it does make me believe that I'm doing something right at least. So I'm doing this video to share more of my personal thought and opinion, what I believe could be the best features to make the mod fun and like worth playing more than like a few games, what my dream Infected will be. Sometimes when I do my video or like tweet something or like, you know, share my complaints or my opinions, I'm trying to stay objective. Let's say for example for BO7, like I'm not going to be like, oh, remove the zombies entirely, right? Because that's the vision of the mod, so I cannot change that obviously. But today this will be a bit different as I'm not targeting any existing Infected. I'm going to talk again about a dream Infected, and now I personally will see the mod as like the best it could be, at least in my opinion, and to hopefully again reach game studios and maybe why not add Infinity Ward to my resume, and also that they can have the opinion of someone that have been playing the mod a lot. I'm not trying to sound like not narcissistic, but like, you know, someone so full of himself. But again, I've been playing the mod for 14 years, I've been playing it a lot, and I mainly play Infected, so I guess in a way I might know what I'm talking about. Again, I might have very bad takes or like things that don't really make sense, but overall I'd say like I have a good understanding of Infected. I know not everything I'll say will be taken in account, but at least, you know, I'll be throwing all the ideas I have and all the reason of why I believe Infected could be fun, at least for me, like someone that plays a lot. I do know that Infected is a party game mode and shouldn't be taken too seriously, but having balance in the mod is what makes it fun for both sides, and it really does make a difference for hardcore players like me and others, so it's always very nice to see attempts done at it. And that's also why I'm making this video and I've done in the past, because having like an unfair game mode can maybe be okay if you play it a few games, but if you want to play Infected a lot, those little details and those like unfairness in the mod can really be annoying in like a long term. And sadly Infected is one of like the rare mod where you can't really do anything about that if it's unfair. You can only use what's given to you, and if something feels unfair or like is really unbalanced, it's because of how the game mode is done, and as a player, well, you cannot do anything about that. Like if you play a regular multiplayer match and I don't know, you're faced with someone that have like a better meta weapon than you, well, you can change that, but on Infected again, you're given tools and you cannot change anything. That's why I really believe it's like super important to have a mod that's like the most fair, the most balanced, the most fun on both sides by default, so you can enjoy it fully and for long periods. Little disclaimer, manually and accurately subtitling constant yapping will take ages. It will take so long, so sadly I won't be able to do it, and I do apologize for like my poor accent sometimes and poor pronunciation sometimes. So yeah, I'm very sorry about that. I hope it's not going to be too annoying, but yeah, beware, that video might be long, I don't know yet, but I might try my best to cut it into multiple chapters, so it might not go everywhere, but I do believe some part of it are very important. There's 5 chapters in this video, and the first one is going to be Treyarch setting a new expectation for Infected with BO7. I've been trying to talk about BO7 Infected, not in like, you know, a feedback way and trying to like improve the mod for like the old community, but how I feel about BO7 Infected. But yeah, don't worry Treyarch if you're watching, it's mainly going to be praise. It's very funny though, because as much as I have issues with BO7 Infected, I enjoy playing it, and legit the main reason is because of like the care it's been put into the mod. Call me biased all you want, but I'm sorry, the fact that the mod came out complete was already like a very appreciated thing, and I do not know what changed between BO6 and BO7. Both of them are technically the same, right? They have like the same features, or like most of the same features, but they feel so different. Like BO6, you have like the power-ups, of course, but you have 3 loadouts. I guess are okay, but one of them is like way better than the others. BO7 started with what, 12 of them, I think? Already like more variety in weapons. There was power-ups again, but they've been nerfed since the very start, if I remember correctly. So like, better. You had some new features, so like the infected streaks. I'm talking about the goods, right? So like the Deathclaw, for example. You had the survivor streaks, right? You had the enhancements, which were again lots of things that made it better. On top of that, the mod came out and it wasn't like, okay, there is infected, nothing is going to get done about the mod anymore. Or like very few fixes. When the ghouls went away, right, there was a pause between like the ghouls and infected release, which was I think planned all along. And between that time, what happened? We had like some slight nerf and little fixes about a few parts of the mod. The score streak got nerfed, so like more expensive. The zombie, right? The zombie was doing less damage because that was a big part of like you dying by NPC zombies, so they were nerfed also, like the zombies will do less damage. They've been adding more loadouts. I'm recording that video after like season 3 reloaded, so season 3 they added more loadouts, which was like a bit after when Infected came out. So season 3, 2 new loadouts, season 3 reloaded, 2 more new loadouts. I'm theorizing, I'm not sure, but I'm theorizing that every new season and reloaded update, sorry, is going to add new weapons, like 2 new loadouts, and you have no idea what a step up it is from like BO6 to go from like, okay, the mod dropped and I don't believe anything changed in BO6 Infected. I think the only change was that on low town or like a map, you could go under the map, so the map got disabled in Infected for like a few days or like a week or something up until it was fixed, which very nice, right? Like you're preventing people from god mode. But again, that was the only thing done, the only change. I'm not saying we should do an update every week for Infected, because once again, technically it's a party mode. Obviously, there's not going to be like a ton of dev time put into that. So that does make sense to, you know, not have like the most update ever for a side game mode. But the fact that, again, on BO7, the mod came out, like the ghouls came out, I did complain. I don't know if it's because of me, like because of the videos I made, the score streak being too easy to get, the zombie and stuff, but I believe maybe I had an impact on that. But the fact that between the ghouls and Infected, there was like actual change to make the game better done, insanely good. And then a few loadouts, every update is so nice to have. Like, I'm not sure how it works, but I do believe that when there's a new season and like new season guns, the next reloaded or like the next season update, those new guns are going to be added to Infected. At least that's what I believe. 2 loadouts, that's all it takes. 2 loadouts every season and reloaded update. It's legit very simple, but it mainly proves that, you know, there's care and the mod is not like abandoned and put to the side when it's like released. Like that's what happened with BO6. If I might misremember little updates, but if I do remember correctly, nothing was done for BO6 Infected. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of some part of the Treyarch Infected. I've been talking about that like for a while now. I'm not going to go too deep into like what I think should change or like get nerfed. But for example, the zombification of the mod is not my cup of tea. I'm not saying it's bad, by the way. It's like a different art direction, which is, to be fair, like nice to see different takes on like a game mod. Just that for my own playstyle and the way I see the mod, the way I play the mod, it's not for me. Like for example, the zombies blocking you, blah blah blah. But the fact that even with all of those like negative part about the mod, the fact that there was so much care at the same time makes me like the mod, right? Because it proves that the devs or anyone that worked on the mod do care about like the Infected community and just like the game in general. So that alone is like such a huge point for me personally, because I'm going to talk about like previous code. As an example, take Modern Warfare 3. Don't get me wrong, at the end, so like season 5 and 6 if I'm correct, like starting season 5, a person from Sledgehammer Studio contacted me and we did exchange a lot of information about what could change, what could be better, and we had updates sadly at the end of the life cycle of Modern Warfare 3. Again, I don't know what changed, if there wasn't enough time to actually put, you know, care and do updates for the mod. But I'm sorry, waiting 6 months with a single shotgun is insane. We had to play Infected for 6 full months with 1 loadout, without attachment. That was like not that good. I do like shotguns, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't that good. And we had to wait 6 months to have the first update. Again, I'm very thankful that the person at Sledgehammer actually changed stuff and, you know, put more loadouts. They were like cool, but as we discussed, not the best for like the type of like movement and speed that you had in the game. So they got changed again, which is like insane. Again, very appreciated. But the fact that it took that long is insane. I think what happened is that because the two games were back to back, like BO6 and BO7, they just took the Infected of Modern Warfare 2, slightly tweaked it. I think it was broken, so the default loadout was like broken technically, and it took them 6 months to change that. Again, it's Infected, right? It's a party game mode, so obviously it's not the main focus. Obviously it's not going to come first in terms of like what needs to be fixed, changed, or like, you know, worked on. So I can fully understand that there was reasons for why it took that long, but it's kind of sad as like a main Infected player that it took that long. Like some people might see the mod as like, you know, oh yeah, I'm playing here and there with like a few friends, or let's play a few rounds of Infected. You see one shotgun, you don't really care because you're having fun with your friends or like just having fun, and then you switch to like SND, any other game mode, and it's just like a mod you play like once or twice per week or per month. But as someone, again, that plays the mod almost every day, or like 99% of my playtime on Call of Duty is Infected, it's kind of sad, right? It's kind of sad and you feel like left out. That's why I believe Treyarch, at least with BO7, put the bar higher, and I really hope that this bar, like this expectation, is going to continue in the next Call of Duty titles. I'm not asking to reinvent the wheel every time, reinvent Infected. All I'm asking is like the mod drops being complete, right? Being fully fledged, fully complete, and that you can feel like it's been worked on fully and it's like complete from start to finish technically when it drops. Of course there might be some like features or like something that needs to be tweaked here and there because okay, we didn't expect that to be broken or this to be like too OP or like not OP enough, but actually changing those and making sure they work the intended way to make it more fair will be very appreciated. Even like small little season updates, you release the mod with like what, 10 loadouts, and every season you add the prior or like the current season new guns in the mod. That's a very good idea to make it fresh. Even if it's just loadouts, you add new content that's Infected. There's not that much you can add in the mod. Like it mainly makes you feel like the mod is not left out the moment it's released. But dropping some little new stuff here and there helps make it fresh and helps make it like fun. And again, that's what I believe Treyarch did so well with BO7. If you compare that with like some of the previous Infected we had, like Modern Warfare 2 had, I think, started with 2 loadouts, 1 shotgun and 1 AK without attachment, so that was like kind of hard to use. The only reason this Infected wasn't the worst ever was the TTK. The time to kill was very fast. I think it was like a 3 bullet with the AK, so that was allowing you to be able to get kills even with like dog shit weapons or like weapons without any attachment. Then we had like Modern Warfare 3 with like 6 months of shotgun. Then we had BO6, which again tried to do something new. That's not bad, but even though it's been like, you know, changed and improved in BO7, like for the whole duration of BO6, insta-kill was like a plague. You had 3 loadouts, which wasn't that much, I guess, right? So again, after a few years of having like not the best experience in Infected, even though BO7 is not my favorite of all time, actually dropping the mod being complete, it was so much appreciated. Like that already made me so fucking happy to actually have a mod that's not like, okay, well, you're going to have like 2 loadouts, or like, you know, you're going to have 1 gun, no attachment or anything, like something broken. When I first spawned and I saw like a gun with like attachment, I was like already super happy, right? It's very sad in a way, but I just want the like following Call of Duty to actually, you know, try at least, if they have Infected, to try to make that like the bare minimum. Okay, now that we praised BO7 Infected for actually delivering a complete experience, let's talk about what I do not like about the mod, because again, that video is aimed at like saying my opinions and about what Infected should be. Let's not forget, I'm not saying it is bad, I'm saying that it's what I do not like and I do not personally like, and like what my vision of Infected is. I've been seeing a lot of people complain about BO7 Infected, saying it's bad, it's not like the OG Infected, this and that is an issue, and it makes them like say, oh, this Infected sucks and it's so bad. But I think it's like a bit unfair, as we just talked about, the last few Infected were like a very worse experience. But again, the main thing I do not like, it's not that it's bad, but I do not like about BO7 will be like the zombifying of the mod. If it was like only the character model being like a zombie, I wouldn't mind that much, whatever, I guess. I feel like the NPC zombies are more annoying than anything, because your average Infected game will be like, people camp a corner, they camp a camping spot, they camp somewhere, there's going to be too much Infected, it's going to be too crowded, and the only thing you can do is either stand your ground, which do not work every time, especially if there's like only a few of you, or try to run away. What happens with the zombie when you try to run away? A lot of time they'll be scattered around the map. They're just body blocking you. At most, you can have 23 players chasing you. So on top of that, having like random zombies that can like fully block an area is like super frustrating. Like the amount of time where I'm like running into a wide area, there's already like a lot of zombies blocking me. And on top of that, like you try to go like inside a room and there's like 2 or 3 zombies body blocking you. You try to run into it, you get stuck. It's so fast that you instantly die. You don't have time to like make another mistake or like try to run away elsewhere because the infected chasing you are already on you and they already killed you. Yet the zombies are like mostly annoying as they body block a lot. You also have the dogs that the dogs like they chase you and they do not let you go. The dogs are so fast. Sometimes you're the last or like you're trying to, you know, rotate, play a bit aggressive, you play in the center of the map and you're like, okay, I need to reload, I need to relocate somewhere. And what happens is that there's a dog chasing you and there's infected around, so what you're trying to do is like kill the infected, but the dog is on your ass. You have to take care of both because the dog is going to kill you eventually. So like I think personally it's very frustrating having to have my attention on like real players and like NPCs, and it's like super frustrating for me to die because of like an NPC. I didn't die because I didn't play well enough, I didn't outsmart my opponent, or I just died because like the NPC zombie was chasing my ass and not letting me go, and it's very frustrating for me. I'm a player that do like to improve a lot, so when I do a mistake I'm trying to like identify the mistake and I'm like, okay, there I didn't rotate the best, or like there I could have ran away, or like I could have tried to kill that person, then like do something else. Dying because of like random zombies like the dogs or the ravager just being there, I feel like I cannot improve at that, right? Like there's just too much, it's too overwhelming. There's nothing better that I can do except hoping I'm lucky enough to not run into a flock of zombies. So that's why for me it's like a super frustrating part. Also like little detail on top of that, but let's talk about it. The fact that the ravagers and like the dogs are like on the ground, like closer to the ground, makes it so like you have to actually aim down to kill them, right? Or like, you know, try to kill them and aim back up at the infected. So because the infected have like way more health, like 200 and 300 HP, you die a lot of time because like you either stay aiming up to kill the infected and you know you kill them, but the ravager or like the dog makes you like super low and you might die by a random other like zombie or somewhere, or you actually aim down to get them because like they're very fast and on your ass, and by the time you try to like re-aim up to actually get infected, you're dead because you don't have time to kill them. That's another reason why I think it's like super annoying. Something else I do not like is the power-ups. It's not that I do not like them, is that I have mixed feelings. The idea of putting power-ups or like something that grants you, like something like max ammo and stuff, is such a good idea. Even though it's been nerfed, don't get me wrong, they've been nerfed in BO7 and I'm very happy about that. Overall, there's too much of them. The way I would have preferred it, again because that video is like all about me, I would have preferred them if they either can start spawning at the very end of the game when there's like 5 players left, or like, you know, X amount of players left but like a very few percentage. Overall I think like them being enabled since the very start of the game kind of makes some games boring, to be fair, like especially the insta-kill on like with a few players. I think personally I would have made them like super rare, like way more rare than they are, almost as rare as like the cure. Let's now talk about how the core design of Infected should be in my opinion. Something I do not like and was done in Black Ops 4 before is the round system. First off, thank God that wasn't like the BO4 version of like the round system, because I would have not liked BO7 Infected. I can understand that it might have been to try to play around with the timer or like try to like, you know, have some changes with the timer, and I'm going to talk about the timer later. But the main issue I have with the round system is the fact that up to 3 times you can go back to like early game and like boring game. I'm not saying that the early game of like an Infected match is essentially boring, but like before, right, if you have just one game, the way a match go is that you have the early game, like a few infected, and then it escalates to like the mid game when, you know, there's a bit more, everyone starts to shoot, everyone starts to have some action, and the end game, so where like, you know, there's only a few person left, you try to flee, you try to like stand your ground, and you have those 3 stages of a game where it's like escalating more and more intensive. Even though BO7 is not like the most pressure heavy infected, having to go back up to 3 times or like 2 more times to like the early game, right, like the round prior you're like, oh, LDBR, War Machine, oh my god, I'm on 20 kills, like so much shit is happening, and if you survive with time, having to go back to like, okay, well, there's going to be 1 infected, and you're going to like either wait in your spawn because, you know, you have a streak, right, you have like a 20 kill streak, you don't want to die and lose your streak, so you're playing it safe, so you go back to having like a very slow start. I feel like it's very boring to have to go back multiple times to that. Most of the time, depending on the map and like how good the average player in the lobby is, you might not go up to 3 rounds. Even if it's 2 rounds, getting to like a very nice and exciting end game into like, okay, well, back to we take our time, you know, it's cutting off like the excitement and like how you feel about the game. Especially when you're trying to get a nuke. Let's say on the first round, you get like 25 kills and then you win the round as a survivor. The round after that, you might only need like 5 kills and you might get the 5 kills on like the first or like second infected. Personally, I believe it makes it like so underwhelming. I got some nukes where it's done between the 2 rounds, but it's not exciting and not having that feeling of like, wow, I got that nuke, right? That 30 kill was like hard to get. There was only like 5 of us left. I was able to get the nuke. Nice. When you get it in multiple rounds, again, it feels like so underwhelming. So yeah, I think the round system cutting the excitement is something I really don't enjoy. I do believe it should be like one game on one map. Let's say you want to go for a nuke. If you die, well, better luck next time, better luck next game. And if you get that good game you're trying to go for, it's going to feel way more rewarding. Something else that BO7 tried to implement that I'm not really liking that much is the different health system. Don't get me wrong, I do understand why it's been done. I think it's been done to counter like the streaks, so like LDBR and War Machine. There's also been like the headshot multiplayer added in order to help you, but at the same time, you have to rely on your War Machine to get the kills most of the times if you want to have kills easily. So it's kind of unfair to have like a lot of nice loadouts, and the best way to deal with the infected is like the War Machine or like insta-kill, let's say. I do like the idea of having a different type of infected, right? Like a buffed one. It's very nice, but they're so strong that if you go against them one-on-one at the start of the game, if they're relatively close to you, there's basically nothing you can do. You can also feel that the loadouts have been made in order to counter that, like a lot of like large magazine on most of the weapons, which is nice again. But sometimes if you don't have the headshot multiplayer, or like if you don't headshot because you're running around, I'd say, it can be hard to kill an alpha infected or like even an infected. So in a way that kind of like promotes camping. There's nothing wrong with camping, by the way. Like camping is a core mechanic of infected, that's how you survive. But it does mean that other playstyles, being a bit more aggressive and playing solo and in order to get like nice games by yourself, are kind of like restricted, or like you're not able to pull them off. And I think it's one part of infected that you should be allowed to do, like play the way you want, like have the playstyle you want. Like sure, I could use my War Machine in order to like deal with them easily, like solo, but at the same time, if you try to like switch things up, it's kind of like very restrictive. Again, you have the score streak, you have the enhancements to go against that, but sometimes it can be like a bit hard to deal with it. Like something else it's not allowing me to go for is like knife only nuke. That might be something me and maybe 2 other infected players worldwide are going to try, but it's kind of sad that it's like restrictive. Like you cannot give yourself some challenges because the base infected has like 200 HP, so it's impossible to try to go like melee only, for example. So I'd say that type of restrictiveness of what you can do and what playstyle you want to go for, or like what challenges you want to give yourself, is something I don't really like. It's not technically bad by definition because it's like a way to counter like the score streaks and like give the enhancements like a reason to exist, but I still believe that it's maybe a bit too strong sometimes. For me, infected should be a mod where you can succeed the way you want, and there's like multiple ways I'm going to talk about. As a survivor, I think there's like 3 ways you can win. You can either win with the time, right? You camp with your team, you hold your ground, and you survive with time, and then the game is over. You can win by nuking, so you get that, you know, 30 kill streak, you get the nuke, and you win the game as yourself, or like, you know, a team effort, I'd say. Or hiding. The last few infected does not allow you to hide, sadly, as well there's the NPC infected. And if you try to hide anywhere or like go anywhere, there's going to be NPC zombies like getting on you and killing you. So hiding is like almost impossible in BO6 and BO7, sadly. And I do believe that hiding has always been a staple of infected, trying to hide as the last survivor against like 17 players. That's why I also believe like the zombies being in the mod is kind of annoying, as it's not allowing you to do that. I believe you should be able to hide as a survivor and not having like any repercussion against that, wink wink, being on the map. There's though some nuance to that, to be fair, that I'm going to explain in like another part of the video. So yeah, hiding should be possible. You should be able to play aggressive and not be punished for that. I'm not talking about dying, right? Like, of course you're going to die if you play aggressive, but I'm mainly talking about like either like having no loadouts, bad loadouts, infected that are like way too strong if you don't play as a team. I believe you should be able to play solo if you want, like if you want to give yourself a bit of a challenge, but not that to be challenging because the player in front of you is always going to win on a 1v1 because he does have like way more HP that, you know, your weapon can deal with before having to reload because you missed like a few bullets. But yeah, talking about the nuke, in my opinion, it's always been one of of like the main goal you have to go for as survivor. It's what most people aim for when they play Infected. And what I really miss is the nuke being hard to achieve. It might be taken as a bit of a selfish take and a bad take, but the recent code has made it way more accessible for everyone to get a nuke. And don't get me wrong, on one side it's kind of cool for like the less skilled players to be able to also partake in the fun of getting a nuke, but I'm a big believer of deserving in a way and trying to improve in order to get your goal or like get the nuke in that context. So having it made way easier thanks to like a very good score streak counting towards the nuke and a power up making it so you can easily one-shot people, I think it's kind of annoying as it's removing the accomplishment of getting the nuke. And I'm not really talking about how it's less impressive to get like an infected nuke compared to like a regular multiplayer nuke. Like we all know that infected has always been kind of like the easier way to get nuke and the mode where you could have a bit of a more chance to get a nuke. But yeah, I believe that even if you make the mode fun and stuff, it should still be a challenge to get a nuke. As a hardcore infected player in recent code, I have been missing that accomplishment of getting a nuke in the mod. The sad part is that it became so accessible in a way, it's not an accomplishment anymore. It's like, okay, who's going to get the nuke first on like a game that allows you to do that? Because I mainly believe it's like luck related how you get a nuke. And sure, there's always been like a luck part before that you will get a nuke, but the way I see it is that before it was maybe like 25% chance and 75% skill and like knowledge about the mod. But nowadays it's more 75% luck if you're going to get, the insta-kill back-to-back. I miss the challenge of like getting a nuke. I miss that it's like difficult. Not difficult because the mod is so badly made, like certain recent Infected, like let's say Modern Warfare 2 was like kind of like hard to play, so it was a challenge to get a nuke because of like how bad it was made. I'm talking about the fact that even though the mod is balanced, it should still be a challenge to get a nuke. It feels very selfish and I believe that I'm like better than everyone else. I mean, before in like other codes, it would be a very rare sight to see someone nuke. A lot of time it would be someone that played well and deserved it. But nowadays, whenever you see someone nuke, it's yeah, whatever, like there was like 5 insta-kill. Yeah, he got lucky, right? And personally, as someone that plays the mod a lot, I don't feel the same excitement and the same, like feeling when I do get a nuke. Even more with the round system, sometimes you get 10-15 kills in one round and same as like on the other one. The action is so cut that it's like not the same feeling at all. But I think stuff like if there's care packages, please making sure that the score streak don't count towards the nuke will be like a first and stuff like that, right? Like it shouldn't be something that you can access by luck and get by luck. Something I've always wanted in the mod was for people to improve. I've made video before on how to play well, how to like where the best camping spots are, like some strategies about Infected. Like I want people to improve. I want them to use their brain and play better. So yeah, that's why I want an Infected to be a bit challenging to nuke, not artificially too hard because you have like one loadout, like one pistol without any attachment and good luck. So people could try to improve and you will see like an improvement in people's playstyle and people that play the mod a lot. I would love to see that again. Something I was talking about earlier with like BO7 is having multiple loadouts. And I don't mean like, 3 weapons without any attachments. I mean like actual loadouts with like thought out attachments. Even though they're like kind of random, it's fine, but having a wide variety or like relatively wide variety of different loadouts, and some of them are like worse than others, but like some of them are good, helps making the mod fun. Currently on BO7 we are at 17 loadouts, and even if some of them are bad, the Swordfish, EGRT something, I hate those because they don't really match with my playstyle. There's on the opposite side of the scale some good ones that makes having the bad ones bearable. It's not like always going to be bad loadouts every game, making it boring. I'm once again going to go back to Modern Warfare 2019. I said that a lot in the past before, but I'm going to say it again. You would have, I think, close to like 100 loadouts. Before there was a patch that broke the loadout system and we can only access the shotgun now. There was so many different loadouts and combination you could have, and it was so cool. I'm talking about almost every classes being used and almost all of the weapons in every classes being used, and each one of them having some variant. And on top of that, the game will use some bundles or even free ones or one you could get in the battle pass. I don't really remember, but you would have a gun that would have different attachments every game, even the same gun, different attachment and a different skin. Customization wise, it was perfect. I can get it might be maybe a bit much or like a bit too much work for that. I'm not sure how it works exactly, but if we could get something close to that again, that would be so nice to have, because again, every game will be completely different than the last. That's why having a wide variety of loadouts helps so much to add with the randomness, and I think the mod should be very random. You drop into a game and you don't know how it's going to end. And on top of that, I think I do prefer every player in the game having the exact same loadout compared to like BO6 or BO7 where every player gets like a random loadout out of like the existing ones. Talking about loadouts, something that I think could be fun to have rarely, right? Same as like Striker versus Jug back in Modern Warfare 3 Tandem, would be to have like a rare chance, like something close to Striker versus Jug, like that could be nice for it to come back. You know, you get like either super goofy loadouts or like super OP loadouts with, again, like Infected having like super buffs, but in a way that, you know, Striker versus Jug did. And I'm not talking about a variant of Infected like an LTM, because as much as I love the Infected LTMs, a lot of time I'm sad that they go away. It would be more like 1 out of like 100 games, or like maybe not that much, 1 out of 50 games, you have a chance to get like a super goofy loadouts. Like out of like all the loadouts list, there's one of them that's like super goofy or like super fun to use, super hard to use against like Infected that also have like a buff or debuff, right? I feel like most of the recent codes have gone with like variants or like LTMs of Infected, which again, don't get me wrong, it's super appreciated. I love having my favorite mod get some like variants. Like for example, we had Fishfaction that was an LTM that sadly was bugged but was supposed to stay on Modern Warfare 3, and I'm so sad that it was bugged and had some issues so it couldn't stay. It was so nice to have like a melee weapon as a survivor with like a bow. Both of those were like hard to use, but that's so challenging and so nice. For example, in Modern Warfare 2 we had a loadout that was a pistol only with a knife, again melee versus melee. Ghost had shield with like the Akimbo revolvers that was back in Modern Warfare 3 for a moment. Those hard to use loadouts are super nice to have. If you have nicely made loadouts and good loadouts, having one like super goofy one will not be that bad. You know, it's like going to be one different type of game and that's it. Then next game you're back to like regular games. And talking about BO7 once more, there's like a few loadouts with a secondary that's a bit hard to use. We have crossbow, the rocket launchers, we have the arcane one, ballistic knife for example. Here and there's some like fun loadouts, but the sad part is because of the higher health on the Infected, they are not useful. They are like too weak technically. Crossbow, if you get like direct hit onto like an Infected, is going to be one shot, and because it's like a one arrow or like a one bullet weapon, right, like you have to shoot and reload, it's hard to use. Maybe once or twice you'll use it, but you cannot use it all game, and that's what I want, like a fun one, not like AR with 60 bullets, laser sight, bit of like a harder to use, but still, you know, you can get the kill, right, if you play it well. Like BO7 is trying that, and sadly the health makes it like unusable. Like the rocket launcher, I want to go for like rocket launcher only nuke, and I was able to get it close once, but guess what, I got close because of insta-kill, so I was able to one-shot, you know, the Infected. Any other attempts, because I don't get like a direct hit on the Infected, well, I simply get a hit marker and someone else probably, you know, steals the kill. Even if you shoot relatively on the feet of like a regular Infected, you don't one-shot them. I do understand that everyone having like a launcher or like a rocket launcher against like a regular Infected will make them unable to do anything, but it will be more like some non-explosive maybe weapons will be nice to have. Like for instance, Modern Warfare 3 had the spear and the bow, and that was like a super nice combo to have, super cool. So yeah, I really hope we'll be able to have like loadouts like that, at least one of them, or a Striker versus Jug comeback. Come on, wouldn't that be fun? I'm not really a big fan of how the Cold War loadout worked, which would allow you to pick whichever loadout you wanted. I feel like it does promote like always picking the best one, because no matter what you do, there's always going to be like a loadout that's like the best of the best. And with how a lot of player plays, a lot of them will not really care about, you know, like diversity and having fun in like different ways. They'll just always pick the best loadout, so it can be a bit annoying and like a bit boring. Let's say you have like a sniper loadout like Cold War did. If everyone or like most people always take that in every maps, in some situation it might be like super annoying. So I do really believe that having a really randomness of the mod, so like you never know what will happen in every map, and like, you know, the way you'll play is, I think, better. So you have to adapt with what you get rather than like always choosing what you want. Something I will want to see back is the tactical insertion as a tactical rather than a field upgrade. In recent code, it's been a field upgrade. As much as it's technically not a big issue, Some little bugs makes it so it's a bit annoying. For instance, in BO6, because it was a field upgrade, it will never be charged as an infected, so you will always like have to charge it fully, so it will render it almost useless and you will barely have any use during a regular game. In BO7, I don't know if it's a bug or on purpose, but an alpha infected doesn't spawn with a tactical insertion. It's a bit annoying sometimes when you spawn multiple times as an alpha infected like in a row, which means that for a few lives you won't have a tactical insertion. Again, not the biggest issue, but a bit bugged. And then you have the issue as sometimes in certain slopes or like stairs or like certain areas that is not like full flat, you won't be able to place a tac insert, so it will be telling you that you cannot place it on certain areas. But the thing is, for the game you used your tactical insertion, so you used the field upgrade, which means that you tried to place it, didn't place, but you don't have it back in your inventory. But having that as a tactical, I think if you cannot place it, it's going to like cancel it technically, so it will be in your inventory still. So for those situations, having like the tactical insertion as a tactical will diminish certain bugs that can happen with it being a field upgrade. Something else that's present in Infected and kind of like goes against my philosophy of the mod is that I believe the survivors should be the one that do have help in order to like detect infected, not the other way around. For example, right now on BO7, when you do respawn as an infected, you have like on the map a little cone that shows you where I think the closest enemy is, or like maybe the last person that killed you. I'm not really sure about that. You can also have the ARP. You also have like eye alert, or like alert I think it's called, as an infected. I think those like abilities, perks, whatever you want to call that, should be exclusive to the survivors. I think the survivor role should be the one having like a bit of like an easier time in order to like know where the enemy is coming from or like stuff like that, rather than the infected. The infected should be the one having to try to find the survivor and kill them. For example, I do believe it's a good idea. You can get the ARP as survivor. Maybe it could be like a bit weaker, and I'm going to talk about that like soon. But yeah, again, I do believe the infected shouldn't have external help to have them find the survivors. It kind of goes back to the point of like being able to hide also, right? Like if you have eye alert and stuff like that as infected, you can randomly know a survivor is like close to you, and that kind of like defeats the point of trying to hide as survivor. Another reason why I believe like stuff like eye alert, the UAV and stuff like that should be for survivors mainly, or like only, is because when you play as infected, you don't really have the pressure of dying, right? You don't really care about dying. It's not something that you care about. But as a survivor, you have that pressure. You don't want to die, otherwise like your only chance of like surviving is gone for the entire game. So yeah, I think that's why those help should be as survivor. And that does bring us on why having specialist or like unlockable perks is a vital part about infected. The thing that like Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, BO6 infected was lacking is getting perks after getting kills. In Cold War and BO7 it's a bit different. It's like enhancements, or like when you get like 1 to 5 kills you do get like speed boost and like movement speed and reload speed, weapon swap speed for example. I don't hate that. I'm sorry, since like playing the OG Modern Warfare 3, I always thought Specialist was like, again, another staple of Infected. Not gonna lie, I'm also a bit sad that BO7 has Specialist, but they still chose enhancements. I mean, to be fair, Specialist is like a wild card in the game, and some loadouts do have overkill, so like I think technically you cannot maybe get both at the same time, otherwise it will like bug the loadout or something. But again, I'm still a bit sad, but I do get that Specialist might have not been enough, at least for BO7 Infected and like the Infected having more health. But I would legit love to see Specialist again, being able to have all the perks in the game. Like, you know, on your first kill you get Scavenger, on your third you get like Eye Alert or Restock or something, fifth you get something else, and on the 7th kill you do get Specialist. That would be like something I would love to see again. I do think the enhancement system is again like a very Treyarch thing to do. So yeah, I would hope that Modern Warfare 4, if there's Infected, which I hope, and like the next COD after that would have Specialist again, just, you know, for the sake of having Specialist. And amongst other perks that might be useful, there's one perk that will allow you to do something we talked about earlier, and it's Ghost. Ghost will allow you to be able to not be on the radar anymore while still having the UAV for the Infected. So that would be a good compromise. Let's say like the last survivor is AFK, to not make the game too long and, you know, having to find someone that's like not playing while he's on the map. And if the survivor actually plays the game, he gets a few kills and then is allowed to hide. That's another reason why I believe Specialist is useful. Of course, it's like also like nuanced. Maybe the game with the Infected is not going to have Ghost, so what you can do is like not having the radar for the last player, but yeah, to stay on like what I believe should be back in the mod, and it's been added in like World War II and not Modern Warfare 2019, as I said for like a long time. I was convinced it was in Modern Warfare 2019. To my defense, I didn't play that much World War II Infected. I'm sorry. And it's like the care packages. Right now, we do have like sort of like a compromise having the kill streaks. First of all, it's nice to have kill streaks on both sides as Survivor and Infected. The only downsides about like set streak is that it's a bit redundant after like a while. Like sure, it's cool to have like an OP streak like the War Machine in order to like have easier nukes or like easier games. But after a while, I feel like I do like to have like randomness into the games, same as like spawning with like a random loadout. Like I do believe care packages allowed you to have streaks into the mod, but it wasn't given to you. You had to go around the map to get the care package, right? So it was dangerous. You could die doing so. That's a good compromise. And what you will get was not set. It wasn't like for sure. You could take a chance, take a risk for a UAV. UAV is technically not that bad in Infected, but sometimes you will get like, for example, a counter UAV. And I think it's cool. I think it's nice to have. I think the care packages method is the best way to add streaks into the mod without making them too OP. Currently, you can have 23 players that can have an LDBR, a ARP, and a War Machine. And I think it's too OP. 20 something players being able to have a War Machine, it's too easy to play. So yeah, I really wish the care packages will come back, because again, that's in my opinion the best way to add streaks as survivors. You have to take the risk in order to go for it, and maybe it's like not even worth it, but that's the fun of it. Gambling, guys, gambling is fun. More seriously, I think it's what making it fun. You're not sure about what you're going to get, if the risk is worth it, and sometimes you could get super OP streak like AC-130, White Phosphorus, Juggernaut. But the thing is, with the care packages, is that even though it was every 30 seconds, that was one by one every 30 seconds. And if the player it was assigned to died, it will despawn. That's again a good compromise. So it's not like always going to stay there. And at the same time, not everyone in the map will have a streak. You will have to go for it. And some people will be too scared. And it's like risk and reward. If you went for it, took the risk, you could be rewarded. Even if you got the OP streak, as we just said, like White Phosphorus and stuff, there will probably be one per game maximum. That's why before we were able to have like super OP streak. We are talking Juggernaut, White Phosphorus, AC-130. Strangely, the game will still finish most of the time with the Infected winning. It's because it was only once per game. If they will get it, it was not a guaranteed thing. And again, that's what I believe should work for the streaks. Every game will feel random, and you will not have that very repetitiveness of like current Infected. Like right now, let's say you're playing a game of BO7 Infected, what will happen near the end of the game will be LDBR, 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 War Machine, War Machine, War Machine. There's not going to be any randomness, like, oh wow, one guy got like a Juggernaut, haha, let's try to go for him, right? Or like, oh my god, I got the Juggernaut, I'll try to go on like the best possible spot to camp and survive. Like, I think that randomness makes it way more fun overall. Also, since like OG Modern Warfare 3, when people will do like private matches or like, custom lobbies for Infected, people will always go for like assault killstreak or like assault streaks. I don't remember the exact name. So people will always bring killstreak into the mod. So it's something that has always been in the mod. That's why I think, again, that care packages and stuff like that will be very fun to have again. I really like how BO7 added Infected killstreak, and I really would love that to be back in like future Infected. I do believe that right now the injection are maybe like a bit too strong. I think the cause of them being too strong is because, well, they're like a kill streak from zombies and they got imported. So like certain aspect of like zombie does not really match with multiplayer. I mean, to be fair, in the guilds we had the Deathclaw, which was like you could summon a Deathclaw and the Deathclaw will target players. And thinking back about it, I think it was like a better implementation of like an Infected score streak. Like I've had this idea like in BO6 and BO7, which was like to like repurpose the AI zombies. So instead of having them like wander around and spawn randomly everywhere around the map, you'd be able to, like, as Infected, summon them on like a specific area, right? If you will get like a 2 or 3 kill streak. In Black Ops 6, the AI zombies spawn was like so bad that a lot of time they will spawn out of the map or like in weird places. So that's why I felt like being able to summon zombies to like distract players and annoy them only for like a short period of time would have been better than having them constantly spawn. I really feel like having a score streak or like a kill streak or like something you can unlock as an Infected player really helps to give you like another goal to achieve. As survivor, you have multiple goals in order to win. I personally really like to go for nukes, to survive as last survivor, run around, it's very fun. But for Infected, for like 14 years, technically, the only goal would have been to kill the survivors, and it was always like melee and, you know, throw enough Tobok. So having something else to work on rather than like, well, kill all the survivors, that's it, is really fun. Something that could work as an Infected kill streak for a more grounded setting, like Modern Warfare 4, or like, you know, any COD that could be a bit more grounded rather than like, you know, zombified like Treyarch, and that will also pair well with trying to have like different types of Infected, or like buffed Infected, will be that after a few kills, that the kill streak that the Infected will unlock will be a sort of like plating up mechanic, like same as like the Warzone mechanic of like getting armor and plating up. Maybe that could be an idea, and you'll have some armor, like some body armor, like 50 HP more. That could be an idea to have like a bit more health without being too OP, and like a sort of like entry style kill streak, which technically could be easy to integrate as it's like an existing mechanic from Warzone. So yeah, that could be an idea that will work in a more like grounded setting. It's sort of like giving them a reason to go for kills and, you know, trying to stay alive. So yeah, again, no, like giving Infected player something else to work for is really such like a simple but nice idea, and something, again, I really hope is going to be back. Something Treyarch added and I want to see back in future Infected is the cure. I think they kind of have like the best setup to implement that, because they do have the power-ups already. So like adding the cure as like an additional power-up is like the easiest way to implement that in future COD or like future Infected, which will not be Treyarch ones. Obviously, there's not going to be power-ups, I'm guessing. There's not going to be anything relatively close to a power-up that will make it super easy to implement something like the cure. Just in case, the cure is like a super rare drop. When you kill a survivor, he can drop that. Any Infected can pick it up and transform back into a survivor. That's such a nice idea. I do really like that. It should stay super rare, not be too accessible. It could be like even more rare to make it like, you know, sort of like the holy grail of like what you can get as Infected. But yeah, I don't know how it will be implemented right in like a nice way for Infected. Also, I do believe that in BO7 right now, the way it works is like kind of annoying. First of all, everyone can pick it up. If you get the kill of the survivor and he drops the cure, anyone else can pick it up. And because most of the times it's not like instantly dropping, like you kill the person and there's like maybe a 1 second delay. By the time the cure spawns, you're already gone and like, you know, focus on someone else. So most of the times when I got a cure, or like some other people got the cure, someone else will steal it. If the cure will be back, why not make it only accessible to the person that got the kill? You don't feel like you got robbed, right? Like, oh, I got this kill, I'm not rewarded, like someone else gets rewarded for that kill. It could maybe be a bit better to make it like personal. Making it personal will artificially making it more rare, because not everyone will be able to get that cure that dropped because of like this player got the kill. But yeah, I really hope I will see the cure again. Okay, something else that's very important, and I think I've been messed up in like a recent Infected, is the timer. I know it's been tweaked and messed out with a lot, and like has been like super different in a lot of recent Infected, but I still believe that the old ways of having 30 seconds per infection is the way to go. I think it's been messing out with and very different in a lot of recent Infected, to the point of most of them don't really work. For instance, BO7, it's like 5 seconds per infection. I do understand they tried to kind of make it a bit more worth at the start of the game by making it so the first kill the Infected get adds a minute and 5 seconds, like you have a minute more. So I get that, but I still believe 5 seconds is nothing. To be fair, it's kind of different with BO7 as the mod works with round, so I kind of get that. But the code before, you know, BO6, I think it was 15 seconds or 10 of them. Come on, 10 seconds is not enough time, I believe, per kill. I think we need to look at the timer problem, not like how long will the game be if you have like, you know, X amount of seconds, but more like how useful it is to get a kill. Because in the last few Infected, let's say you have the start of the game that's a bit slow, right? The first Infected struggles for XYZ reason. Getting a kill that gives you 5 seconds or 10 of them is useless. I'm sorry, but it's like basically useless. Let's say you have a few seconds left on the timer, adding 10 seconds or 5 or like a small amount of seconds, like 10 or 15, basically changes nothing. Let's say there's 2 of you, 2 Infected, a few seconds left, and then like you get another kill. kill, right? There's 3 of you. By the time you respawn and the person that died respawn, 10 seconds is nothing. If you are on like a medium to big map, 10 seconds is the time it will take you to, if you don't have attack insert, go back to where the people are camping. I still strictly believe that adding 30 seconds per infection is the way to go. Nowadays, a lot of game ends with time for the survivor because the first few infected struggled to get a kill. Having 30 seconds allowed them, even if they get a kill, even if they die and they spawn back like super far, they have the time to come back and maybe try once or twice more to, you know, get a kill. And well, if they die, right? The game ends. But at least they have a chance, you know, to do something. Adding 30 seconds give them like the opportunity of getting a kill. So yeah, I believe 30 seconds is the way to go, and you simply cap the game time. Let's say you have 30 seconds per infection. You make it so the game cannot go further than like 12 minutes like we had before, even 10 minutes. Why not? Like a 10-minute game maximum, because it does tie with something else that I think I talked about earlier, and it's that I believe that winning as a survivor with time most of the time is kind of like underwhelming. I do understand that infected have been balanced to have an equal chance on both sides of winning, because before it was like 99% of the time the infected will win, and the rare time survivor will win will be because of a nuke, or very rarely like a few people surviving, or like, you know, a game ending early. But yeah, I'm sorry, but trying to make the win rate 50-50 on both sides shouldn't be a thing. I do believe, and I'll die on this hill, that even if the infected have like a 95-99% win rate, if the mod is made in a way that makes it fun for the survivor to like survive, like care packages, good loadouts, XYZ reason, like, you know, buff as last, even if you end up dying as the survivor or like the survivor team, if the way there is fun, like the way to your death, like your inevitable death is fun, people are not going to care, legit not going to care. I said that earlier, but I do see the ultimate win as a survivor being the nuke. I believe that most people, if they can try to get their nuke in a fun way, if they die and don't get the nuke, so like lose, they do not care. So I think like trying to artificially make the survivor win and make their time funnier because they do win and they have like the victory screen, that doesn't work. It's not fun. Most of the time when the survivor win is mainly because, at least in current codes, like insta-kill, wow, we one-shot people and there's like 5 infected. The infected did not have time to get like enough kills, and boom, the game ended with time. And most of the time, I'm sorry, it is boring. Winning as survivor, if you do not get a nuke or like a crazy endgame, which is like super rare, at least it was rarer before, this is not fun. I do appreciate the mod trying to make the survivor win, so like it's maybe having a bit of like a better time. I legit believe that it doesn't work like that. I do believe you should deserve the win. Getting a win because only a few infected were present into the game and they didn't have time to kill more people, so the game ended with time with like 5 infected, is boring for both sides, infected and survivors. It might tie a lot with my own perception of the mod and like what is considered like a win, I think, and that might be my own opinion, and I do understand that, you know, the devs and like the studio try to make it less of like a skill thing. I believe that you should deserve a win, meaning that you should deserve either getting the nuke in a way, or like if you survive as survivor, it's not because of like, well, there wasn't enough time, well, you win, yeah. No, it should be because you played so well that, you know, the enemy team couldn't do anything, the infected team couldn't do anything, and that's the reason why you won. And that's why I believe this mod shouldn't be, okay, you have an equal chance winning on both sides. It should be, the infected are going to be eventually too strong for you to bear, so you are going to die. So you either stand your ground with your team and you have like good things to help you with that, or you die, or you try to escape and rotate and, you know, put your skill on the table and see what you can do. Yes, you'll probably end up dying, but the question will be, did you have fun up until your death? And I'm sure that if the mod is made well, most of the time it will be yes. Like, okay, I died, but it was so much fun, so chaotic. Wow, I was the last survivor. I had this and that, or this buff. I wasn't getting one shot anymore. I was a bit faster. I don't fucking know anything that could make the last survivor a bit more fun to play. Those things will make the mod way more fun than, oh well, guys, you got a pity win. Well played. And I'm not trying to be rude or like diminish the effort made in order to balance like both sides. But yeah, I do believe that Infected has always been kind of understood as the mod that you'll always die eventually. And I do believe it should be like that as long as the way to your death is fun. This next chapter talks about the last survivor buff and how, if done well, it can elevate the fun. But yeah, back on like the ARP discussion, I do think it's good survivors can have the advanced UAV, but I think survivors might, be able to get the advanced UAV way later into the game. Same as like the fact that the UAV turns on when there's the last survivor. The infected UAV turns on and they can see where he is. Well, it could be like that, but for the survivors, let's say the last 3 players, for like the last player trying to rotate or run around, well, you have an advanced UAV that automatically turn on, so you're able to know where the infected are coming from. And that's perfect that we talk about that, because it's driving us to my next point, which is I believe the last survivor should have a huge buff. So again, like an advanced UAV, as the last survivor is like very nice. It's not too much as you have some info, but it's not like the old game. There's not going to be like 10 or 15 survivors and you can have an advanced UAV. That's a bit too strong. But yeah, as the last player, you have an advanced UAV. I think it's very nice. And to be fair, I even believe they could get some other buffs like movement speed buff. For example, in BO7 right now, you do have a movement speed buff on your first kill. I think that movement speed buff is good to counter like the higher HP. But let's say the infected have 100 HP, which I hope they will have in future infected, like regular HP. Giving the last survivor a movement buff then at the very end to help him go against multiple people is something that could be very fun. I think it's fair trying to balance the mod for like both sides. But let's be honest, the last 2 Treyarch infected had like 24 players in a game, so like 23 infected possibly. Prior to that it was like 17 infected max. But let's be honest, as a last survivor, how many times have you seen a last survivor surviving against like 17 or 23 players? Not that much, right? It's like already super hard. So giving some slight buff like advanced UAV, a bit of like a movement speed upgrade. I'm not talking about like super speed, right? I'm talking about just you're a bit faster, would help a ton. Like I even had ideas before of like giving the last survivor a minigun or like an infinite ammo gun or like a juggernaut or something like that. Of course allowing you to choose to like get it or not, because if you want to nuke blah blah blah. Like there's so much opportunities to give the last guy a lot of like OP stuff, because let's not forget that's one person against 17 or like 23. What can he do? Even a good player is not going to like survive that much, and it's going to make such a nice hectic endgame. And on top of that, that will give every survivor a reason to try and be the last, like trying to be the one that get the movement speed boost or like something. So yeah, I really believe the last survivor should get not super OP stuff that makes him unkillable, but just something that allows him to have like 30 seconds of fun at the end of the game. And something else that should be in every infected for the last survivor is that they should have 200 HP. And I'm not talking about the 200 HP we've been getting the last few codes, which is like fake 200 HP. 200 HP even against like tomahawks or throwing knives. We technically do have 200 HP, but it's against the melee and not like the tomahawk and throwing knife, which is kind of stupid in my opinion. Why will you be able to do more damage against someone like from a distance rather than like close range, at least in the context of infected? So that means if someone have the ability to get close to you and catch up to you, they still need to two-tap you in order to kill you. But if they're further away, they can one-shot you. It's something that always annoyed me, that there's like 200 HP technically, but the tomahawk will still one-tap the player. A big reason why I feel like tomahawk or like throwing knives should not one-shot when you are the last survivor is that you cannot tell me it's easy to dodge 17 or like 23 tomahawks or like throwing knife when you are playing as last. It's super hard. The fact that there's a lot of people going for like meleeing you and you having to be conscious of like the tomahawks and throwing knives makes it so like when you rotate you have to kind of run dodging the melee, the people close, but at the same time you cannot run straight, otherwise it's like an easy target for a tomahawk. So you have to dodge plus run as fast as you can, dodge at the same time, so it's like very hard. So yeah, I really believe they should not one shot. The damage value should be tweaked and changed so it does 100 damage. So when you get 200 HP as the last survivor, you do not get one shot by a ranged attack. And I believe it's very frustrating, and it goes back to a point I was making earlier, which is that you could be doing well as the last player, outsmarting, outplaying your opponents, running away from them and having better movement or this or that, just to die in one tomahawk. It's very frustrating because you feel like even though you're doing a good job, you're still dying. Of course, that's the point. You can always die. Dying in one tomahawk feels very unfair sometimes. Why am I getting punished by going far away from them and being able to play well? I'm still getting punished, so it's like a bit frustrating. That's why I fully believe 200 HP should also give you like 2 hits with a tomahawk in order to die. Because have you seen how long the average player survives on infected? It's not that long. Even with the speed boost, even with with like the technical 200 HP, people mainly survive like a 10 seconds, 30 maybe. It's technically basically thanks to two things: 200 HP as last survivors and one perk which is double time. If you paired double time with slide cancelling in the game, guess what happened? Your attack sprint duration was a bit longer, right? So by definition, you could be faster than infected players if you played well. So if you had good movement, so that was technically, even though I don't think slide cancelling was intended, a way to outrun infected and be slightly faster than them. That's why I loved it so much, because like it created a skill gap. Of course, you know, it was still like because of the perk, right? But someone that could not slide cancel or like didn't have good movement will not be able to do that easily or like escape easily. And that is something I really like, is because it forces you to improve. It forces you to play well. That's something I'm very adamant about, if that makes sense. You should try to improve. You can always improve. You can always be better, play better. And having that little thing of like, okay, you can have a perk that allows you to outrun the infected if you have good movement. Well, that made me love playing Disinfected. The more I played Modern Warfare 2019 Infected, the more I improved, the more my movement was better, the better I played over and over and over and over and over. And what happened is that I loved the mod so much. I went on games where I would be the last player for like 5 minutes as the last guy against 17 players. It was so nice. It was so good. To be fair, it's more like some extreme examples, right? It's not how the average game will go. But still, like I was able to like challenge myself. I went on like knife only nukes. I would wait to be the last survivor and then nuke. That little perk, you know, that made me able to like run a bit faster than the infected, allowed me to be a bit more creative with what I wanted to do, allowed me to have like a skill gap with the infected. Thing that the current games, I don't think they have like really a skill gap. It's more like what you can get, and it's not like thanks to the player being better. It's more like the tools you can have, like War Machine and stuff, and insta kill for example. And that's what I miss, being able to improve in order to nuke or like, you know, have a fun game. I mean, of course, my experience might not be the average player experience, because again, I've been playing the mod for like 14 years and I've been playing it a bit more like seriously starting 2019, 2020. But that little aspect of like, okay, you are the last survivor, get one thing, 100 plus HP, that opened the way to like so many fun things I could do. On top of infected not being able to have like a radar or like a UAV, at least in the middle of the game, I believe that the infected player shouldn't be able to ping, like live ping, survivors. It's not really an issue during like the middle of the game, but whenever it's like the end and you're either the last player or like last few survivors trying to run away, the fact that you can get live pinged remove any like chance of you trying to mind game or like trying to do like a nice move on survivor or trying to sneak your way away. It removes all of that, because on top of like them having the ARP, so they know where you are every like few seconds, if you get live pinged, it's like they have a wallach on you, right? Like there's no element of surprise. There's nothing you can do to try to like make a move, which is like the last few things you can do. The only thing you can do as last is try to like outplay them and maybe try to like fake going away and going somewhere else, like wait a second somewhere and like, you know, like some stuff like that. You cannot like just run forward forever. You have to like try something, and I feel like live pinging removes that. You have no element of surprise. And on top of that, a lot of time on like old Call of Duty when I used to rotate, the reason I will perform well and have a chance at least to like escape was because not all of the map knew where I was at the same time. I would run around the map, and in certain situations I was forced to shoot and expose my location, but between that I will shoot, alert a few infected around my location that they will come following the sound or like the kills, right? But not everyone at the same time will know, so I will have time to run away. I could go like multiple ways, so then again people had to guess where I was and try to get to me, and it was again the same thing. I will shoot, show my location to people, and they will have to go to that location or like around, and then they wouldn't know exactly where I was. Now with the live ping, all 23 players or like 17 know exactly where I'm at all time. Like even the guy at the opposite side of the map knows exactly where I'm at. So the thing is, the whole map is always on me, and having that much players on you at the same time is impossible to survive, right? Like you have such a hard time where a lot of time people are going to not be stupid. A thing that I do is that I always flank, right, the survivor. So like people are following him, I just flank, and there's always people doing that. So he's cornered. There's no way he can survive except if he's like super mega lucky. One of the nice thing of like not being on the map, or like only being on the map when you shoot and like reveal your location based on sound, is the fact that even if they know where you are approximately, you could stay there, go back, go this way, go right. But again, being live pinged removes all of that and removes any chance of you escaping somewhere and being safe for like a few, you know, 10 seconds in order to take your time, reload, and then think about what you're doing next. Right now in current COD, it's like always, okay, okay, you have to run, and if you stop for like a single second, you're basically dead. And for this last chapter, let's talk about some features around Infected that are still important in my opinion. I quickly talked about customization with like the bundle skins being on like the guns, for example, and having like different skins. But yeah, first off, that's something I would love to have back, right? Like either a battle pass skin or like a bundle skin if that's possible. But if it's not, I would love to be able to customize two things. First off will be the operators. Please allow us to pick an operator from both sides. It's something that Warzone do. Get High on Modern Warfare 3 allowed you to do that, to pick any operator you wanted in the mod. So technically it's possible, and I would love to have that back. I think the reason why we cannot have like an operator on any team is because one of the team will be the survivors, one of the team will be the infected. That would be so nice to be able to get like an operator from like both teams. Because as someone that plays the mod a lot, you see an operator or like a skin in the store that's like, wow, I would love that skin. Sadly, you cannot equip it because it's not on the proper side, and you will technically never be able to have it for Infected. And that's super sad because I would have got some skins before and I simply did not get them because I wouldn't be able to play them in Infected. I do understand that it's not that big of a deal for like the average player, but it would be a very nice thing to be able to play any operator you want, any skin you want. I completely forgot, but while recording some gameplay, Modern Warfare 2 technically tried, I think, to introduce the switching operator system. When the match is about to start, you can, there's a UI thing that allows you to like switch operator and choose the match operator. But I think it's just like UI, it's like showing you in the main menu, or like the pre-game lobby, but not actually applying in game. So it doesn't work. But that system like exists and was like attempted before. That exact system will be like perfect. So if like Modern Warfare 4 or like any code after that can try to replicate that system that actually exists in a way, that would be very nice. And also the second customization I would love to see for Infected or any mods that gives you like a predetermined loadout will be being able to change the camo. Like it would be nice to have somewhere in the menu, somewhere in like the create a loadout, one thing you can choose, like equip this camo for every given loadout. You choose one camo that's going to be automatically on every gun and loadout that is given to you for every mod. So like gun game, Infected and others. Simply having that and the ability to change the camo of the gun will make it a tiny bit better. This is honestly some nitpicking. It's not like something that's needed in order to make the mod fun, but as someone that plays a lot, not having like any customization choice, you're a bit restricted with the operators. Choose what your gun looks like and it's always going to have the default look is a bit sad. Let's say you have the completionist camo in like multiplayer, for example. Well, not being able to equip it in Infected as someone that plays Infected a lot is a bit annoying. It could also be like something automatic. You will get your best completionist camo auto-equipped. Obviously, it will be best to be able to like allow you to choose one camo, but yeah, I think it's something that could be a bit cool to have. Again, it's like nitpicking. It's not something like that's super needed. Talking about LTMs, there's one LTM I've been begging to see again, and it's like Giant Infected or like Ground War Infected. I know you need to have kind of like Ground War or like bigger scale game mode originally in the game to have it work, because otherwise you won't have any maps. I've been begging to see Ground War Infected back. Even as an LTM, I will take it. Of course, I will want the mod to be there forever, not an LTM, but I'd love to see it again. It's such like a fun, chaotic mod with the Infected dropping from the sky. They can respawn with parachute and stuff. But yeah, I'm sorry, an Infected on like a large scale with like maybe vehicles, weak ones, right? Like remember Modern Warfare 2019? On certain maps you had like the ATV, like on Ground War Infected. Like the ATV, right? You're not very protected, you can get Troy knifed. That was so fun to drive around against like 47 fucking Infected. I would want to see that back. It was back in Modern Warfare 2. Sadly, it was a bit underwhelming with like 2 or 3 loadouts and nothing else, if I remember. I don't even remember if there was like any care packages or like any streaks you could get, like for example the jug. You could get the jug in Modern Warfare 2019 or like sentry gun and stuff. But yeah, I really wish I'll see that game mode back. Like please Call of Duty, please, even as an LTM, please. Something that I don't really get, and that's maybe a bit harder to do with like multiple rounds on BO7, would be why can't we join a game that's already playing? For example, right now in BO7, if I'm correct, if like a lobby go past the first first round, you cannot join that lobby anymore if you're not trying to join a friend or like a random player in that lobby already. So I feel like it does like elongate queue times, as the mod is like not the most famous one. A system in my opinion that should be back is when you try to join a lobby that's already playing, and I hope we'll be able to join lobbies that are already playing and not like BO7 where if one round is played you cannot join again, will be to press a button to spawn when you try to load, because with the loading screen and such on current codes, what happens is that your character is already in the game, already like, you know, waiting for your input while you're still looking at the loading screen. What happens if you're already in game and you cannot move? You're going to probably get found by infected and killed, and you will spawn as an infected already, which is kind of annoying, kind of boring, as you die without even trying anything. So yeah, the simple way will simply to be, if you load into a game that's already playing, you join spectating someone and you have to press whatever key to spawn. And I guess that system will be annoying, as people will like wait before spawning so they can spawn as last or something. But you can also like simply do, if you don't spawn after 15 seconds, you're considered as AFK and you get kicked for being AFK. Whenever you can spawn, you have like 15 or like 10 seconds to spawn, otherwise you're kicked. I do believe it would be like a way better system than dropping you into the game while you're in the loading screen, your character dies. It's very frustrating, as when there's not that much lobbies, you're bound to join one that's already playing. Not being able to play this game and having to wait for the next one is a bit annoying. Something I really liked in certain Infected, and is not something you can willingly put into the mod or in the game, as it's not even tied to the Infected game mode, is the map layouts. In the last few codes, the map have gone back to like the 3-lane layout, which is what most people want and how the game flow the best in regular multiplayer, but it's technically not the best for Infected. I kind of miss unfair spots in certain maps. Again, this point is not something I know will be added into the game on purpose for Infected, it's just me sharing that. Take for example like Acne Yard or Superstore, right? Those maps, you could have stairs leading to like a safe spot. There was windows and stuff, but for Infected, it was like a bit easier to camp and, you know, have some like nice fun spots. And that's something I kind of miss, because even though those spots were good, you could still die. And something else about the map that I miss a lot is the verticality. A very big reason on why I was able to get so many nukes in Modern Warfare 2019 Infected, for example, was that in a lot of maps, there was so much verticality that you could try to, again, rotate and dodge people as last. You could like run around the map and go back into like the center of the map, or like go back somewhere, and because you had verticality, you were able to dodge a lot of people that were coming towards you, so it was like giving you a bit more time to try to run around, survive. And I think it was a big part of the reason I enjoyed the mod, because even though you're last, I still had tools and ways to like sneak away, escape and stuff like that. This point is not really something I can willingly make happen for the game. Devs are not going to randomly add maps only for Infected, more verticality into maps just for that. But I just wanted to share like something I kind of miss on the maps. Something that's not really the most important, but I think it's something annoying, is the fact that the private game settings cannot be changed, or that the settings have been the same since like Modern Warfare 2. I'm not really sure what the issue will be, if it's maybe like a code HQ issue where like the settings get shared between multiple games, because a lot of time it's like relatively the same settings, or maybe that it's been overlooked, like no one really paid attention and changed the private game settings, because again, it's like a private game setting for a side party game mode. But it's kind of sad that it's been 4 years and every time you load a private match for Infected of any of the last code, you're always greeted with the same Modern Warfare 2 weapons, so basically meaning that there's nothing you can do, nothing you can change. There's maybe some like slight settings you can change, like the health of the survivors, maybe like if you have the map, the UAV or not, but that's pretty much it. There's very few settings you can change, and again, it's not really like the most important thing to work on. Just having the ability to actually be able to change the weapons you want to spawn in as Infected, but having the ability to load into a game with like the weapon you want is, you know, could be nice. If I'm correct, a lot of recent Infected, even Modern Warfare 2019, no matter what you input as like weapon you want to spawn in and stuff, the multiplayer version of the mod, or like the rule set of the multiplayer version, is going to overwrite whatever you put there for like a lot of settings like weapons and stuff. So it's kind of annoying. Again, not the most important thing to add, but it would be nice to just like load into a private game with the weapon you want, even if it's just the loadout list in the multiplayer version. It would be nice to choose what available loadout you want to spawn in like a private game. Something else that's maybe me nitpicking again is like the filters. I don't really like the filters. I know they do make sense when you play as infected, why not? But the sad part is that as survivor you also get like filters that dull the colors of all the maps, and it's kind of sad that in BO7 a big point was that more colors, like very colorful beautiful maps. So the fact that BO7 and BO6 there is like visual filters for survivors and infected is a bit sad. Again, I don't really mind technically having them as infected if you can still have the beauty of the maps when you play survivor, and it's like only when you're infected that you have like filters. But yeah, like there's a few times where when playing like both roles I will get a little bug that will remove the filters and I will be like, fuck, the map looks so much better. I do understand it's like kind of a way to immerse you into the mod. It would be nice to at the very least have like a toggle to remove like visual filters mods can put on you, because it's kind of sad that certain maps are like uglier when you play infected. I think this concludes what my dream infected will be and what main changes from like the modern code infected we've had I'd love to see. I've been pleasantly surprised with the amount of work done in BO7 infected, so I'll stay hopeful with any new Call of Duty having infected and hoping they'll handle the mod in a good way. This video was a bit of like a passion project and something I've been wanting to do for a while. So yeah, thank you for everyone that took the time to watch the video, and I'll go back on the BO7 grind trying to get a very specific nuke in infected. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys for watching this video and I'll see you guys in the next one.